let the sheNEDigans begin. Long live the sheNEDigans.
Hello and welcome to the topic of this video. As always, let's talk sheNEDigans. So today's video is actually going to be, well, a lot more fun than most of the Let's Talk sheNEDigans I've been doing, which have been honestly kind of really focused to a lot of more serious topics. But sometimes they've been fun, like the top 10s and whatnot. But honestly, one of the last fun Let's Talk sheNEDigans I did, at least as far as I can remember, was the Switch video, talking about the games I bought from GameStop and whatnot. And then the one before that one was actually talking about my favorite board game, 13 Dead End Drive. So I thought, hey, let's drive it more towards games again, especially more particularly cardboard. It's not going to be a board game. We're actually going to be talking about one of my favorite card games in recent years. And that card game is called Overkill. Now this is actually a card game that my wife got for me, which I think she got it for me for Easter, which just makes it an even, well, weirder present. But at least she knows me well. So this is definitely actually one of my most favorite card games in recent years, and I love to break it out whenever I have a party over, whenever I have friends over, or anything like that, which, it's been a while since I've had friends. But the cool thing about this game is the fact that it's just heavily based off of old horror movie tropes, clichés, and a whole bunch of other stuff. It's honestly really cool. I love the artwork when it comes to the monsters. There's a lot of really cool elements to it and everything. And it's just one that I really kind of wanted to dive into and show to you guys. This is Overkill. The whole point is to get as many points as you can by collecting the victim cards. Now, the victim cards are all based off of stereotypical characters in horror movies. You got characters like the guy in the wheelchair, the couple having sex, the jock, and a whole bunch of other really hilarious cliched things, and each card has a different amount of points. Some are higher and some are lower, so it really depends on which characters you wind up getting before the end of the game, rather than how many victims you actually wind up getting. You start off the game by picking your monster, or you can just go ahead and pick a monster by random. But I really love the artwork of the monsters. Of course, they're all based off of cliched and stereotypical monsters that you find in horror movies, such as Frankenstein, the werewolf, the mad scientist, the zombie girl, the vampire queen, the witchy woman, the pumpkin king, the goth dead girl, and my personal favorite, the skull face slasher, which honestly you could probably guess why this one's my favorite, since he's kinda similar to, well, a personal favorite slasher villain of mine. In order to get one of the victims, you have to have the longer plot than what your adversary has. Each horror villain has the beginning parts of your plot, and then as you start playing along and you gather more cards, which you get more plot points to add to your overall story, and the more plot points that you have for your story, whoever has the longest plot is able to go ahead and get the victim. You're able to go up to 6 cards when creating your plot, with your character being number 1. You can switch out your character for a card with the number 1 on it on how you're going to kill your victim, although to me, Other than changing up the story, I really don't see any point with putting down a number 1 card. We also have the butt cards. The butt cards are basically your way of being able to shorten your opponent's story so that way they can't win. Or you can go ahead and try to get you and your opponent into a tie so that way you can keep going, just so that way you can catch up, or, just something like that. It's basically your way of being able to attack your fellow player just so you can stop them from winning. I love the stories you can come up with. They can honestly be really ridiculous at times. Sometimes they can just come off as something that's normal in a horror movie. For example, with the Frankenstein story that you are coming up with, I'm going to take it apart while slowly moving towards it until it smiles. As I mentioned earlier, it doesn't really matter about the quality of the story or anything like that, and the monsters in the long run don't really matter. It's just really which monster you want in the long run, but it's mainly just how many plot cards you have by the beginning of your next turn. If you have more plot cards than your opponent by your next turn, then, well, you're the winner. Now, as you can see, it's a very simple game, but it's a lot of fun. My only negative is just the fact that if you have a lot of the same plot cards, or you don't have any butt cards to lower down any of your opponent's stories that are coming out or whatever, then honestly, this game can go on for a very, very long time. I honestly think that the best way to play this game is just with 2 people. It's a lot of fun playing with a lot of people and, coming up with a lot of ridiculous horror stories and stuff like that, but like I said, the worst part about it is just the fact that the instructions say that this can be a half an hour game. Personally, I think that's a load of bull. It actually goes on much, much longer than that, but it's still fun. I still highly recommend it, and if you don't have Overkill, then honestly, I would highly recommend getting it if you're a big horror fan anyway. If not, then, well, I really don't know what to tell you there. But I really do love this card game, a lot. It is actually, it's a lot of fun. If you're a horror fan, you will love it. From what I have gathered, there's not really a lot of board games or card games that are specifically geared towards horror fans or monster fans or anything like that. I mean, there's a decent amount if you can look for it or really dig for it, but these aren't really games that you're really going to find in your average Target or Walmart or anything like that. So if you can, definitely, when you go to Amazon or something like that, try to find more obscure card games or board games, because you can find a lot of fun with these kinds of games, and they're not Monopoly. But anyway, that's all for today. I really do recommend picking it up if you can find it, or if it's, going for an okay price on Amazon or whatever. And if you can, have a lot of fun with your friends. And yeah, that's basically it. Thank you so much for joining in this episode of Let's Talk sheNEDigans. I'll see you guys later. God bless.